Hi everyone. I'm Adeola. I'm a GIS geospatial data analyst. My first degree was in planning, and I worked in Nigeria for about 3 years as a planner. And then I moved here for my graduate degree. I'm a proud alum of Lehman College. Um, and that's where I got my graduate degree in GIS. And then I interned at the DOE, and then I moved to NYCEDC, and now I'm a geospatial data analyst. I am very passionate about automating geoprocesses, and I'm a big data enthusiast.
Thank you, Adeola. So about myself, for those of you I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, my name again is Jiin Wen. I'm a Senior Vice President within IT Department at NYCEDC. Proud to say I am the founding director of the Multimedia and Geospatial Information Service Unit. And with the help of a team of geo experts like Adeola, we've built the foundation for geospatial data and application infrastructure and working hard to keep it cutting edge. It's tough out here these days. Outside of work, I'm quite passionate about serving and supporting career technical education in the public school system. I currently serve on a few advisory boards from high school to CUNY. In addition to serving on GISMO and NYCEDC executive boards, I recently joined the Singing Winds Board, an organization that offers free multilingual storytelling performances and folk art festivals from the rich cultures within my community of Kensington, Brooklyn. Thanks for listening. So let's get started. So today's agenda, sorry, I'm still learning to work on this thing. So here's our agenda. The presentation is divided into two sections: the inspiration and a look under the hood, the technical hood. So we can show you some of the ways we have been using to visualize the data we have managed to create. Please feel free to post your questions and feedback in the chat. So setting the scene, the Green Book, as many of you might already know, was a travel guide that was first printed in 1937 in the era of segregation, listing restaurants, hotels, shops, and gas stations that would serve African Americans that were safe for them. In 1967, following the signing of the Civil Rights Act, the Green Book stopped publication. And these books inspired many stories. And here is the book that turned into a series on HBO with its very own guide. So what's my take? After listening to the interview on Fresh Air NPR with the filmmaker Yoruba Ration in her documentary, The Green Book, Guide to Freedom, I got curious about the actual books. Always looking for new data points, I virtually flipped through several of them and thought, wait, what if I map these businesses? What truth will these data points reveal? Fun fact, in the 1947 edition, Chinese restaurant was first featured time as a subcategory under restaurant, and Mei Ling, just one at that time, on Amsterdam Avenue and 146th Street. But first, a brief recap of the book and the people behind it. So here we are, we have Victor Hugo Green, which the book was named after, who was born in Harlem, 1892. You can see the pieces. And I just want to highlight a few things that the first edition only covered New York City, Manhattan, and parts of Westchester. Because he was a postal employee, he leveraged his network at the Postal Service to collect friendly businesses and tourist homes. I guess you can call the original Airbnb. And in 1939 edition started to include 46 states. And in the early years, about 15,000 copies were printed annually, which I thought was quite impressive. Of course, we're to pre-celebrating Women's Her Story Month in March, I would like to take a moment to salute Mrs. Alma Duke Green's contribution. Not much was mentioned about her, but here's a few things I came across. It was really their annual drive to Virginia to visit her family that inspired this venture. While she was officially given the title of editor in 1961 edition, she was probably the editor since mid-50s. I also want to highlight her all-female staff, editorial staff, oops, sorry. And I just want to highlight and thank a bit of history blog by Victoria Martinez, where I got my lovely facts from. Now back to my process. I started to create this data set in March 2019, but took a break until almost a year to the day. COVID sent my daughter back home early from college, so I put her to work. She helped to enter about 600 entries, and my younger daughter, a high school junior, helped with the rest. So another 400 she entered. This data set contains just over 1,000 records and covering these years. There were some missing books. I don't think they have the full set, but these are the years we tackled. I will be showcasing the data on the web map next. So many of you may have probably seen this in your public library started their project, the Green Project Map project. But I think to date, I just got this a few days ago, they covered 1947 and 1956, and of course they covered the entire country. So I'm proud to showcase our collaboration. Adeola is this. Now I have to switch a bit. Maybe allow me to stop and switch over. Do I have everybody still? I hope everyone's okay. Put something in the chat, be great. Please forgive the. Do we see a map? I hope. Adeola, can I ask you to say yay? Or Paula, you're not on mute. Someone please say yay. Yay, thank you, Paula. So here we are, more on the details how this was built with the 1,000 records for New York City. You can see we have covered this all the businesses that were entered. And what was interesting, but data points alone doesn't really speak too much except where they are. However, as planners and all, you can imagine we've put on the red line map. You can start to see it is not surprising that a lot of the businesses were within their red line area, or as they call it, grade D, the red sections. So what is interesting, I have to say, is as we start to kind of look at it through the decades, right here, I'm going to go through 1937, 1941. Please keep your eye on the dots. Not surprising, the locations, parts in Crown Heights and also in Harlem. And then 1947, 1950, it started to grow. It starts in the Bronx. And the 51-60. And then what's surprising, 1961 and 67, you start to see it start to have business advertised from other than the red line area. We do have, if we zoom in, we do have, thank you, DCP. We have used the neighborhood tabulation areas in there to show you the areas, the different neighborhoods. So I just want to show you what is interesting. By 1967, what was fun is the fact that you can see the Mayflower Hotel is now advertising. And these are the active years. They only start to advertise 67 through 63 to 67. And then we also can look at the Pierre Hotel, the 5-star foot of Central Park. In the green section of our program, and even Copacabana on 10 East 60th Street were on there, along with the other hotels, all hotels. Now I'm going to turn. Just want to showcase the red line grades and the cluster. We'll take this off. The point itself tells a story. Okay, sorry. So go back to our story. Thank you for your patience, everyone, as I go back and forth and sharing maps. Okay. So that was interactive map Adeola created. Thank you. So let's look at the data for those of us who prefer looking at spreadsheets. Not quite me, but it's fun to look at numbers from time to time. And let's take a look at the top five lists. First, we gathered information by within like 10-year ranges here.
Sorry, Jen,
Sure.
you need to share your screen.
Oh, I am so sorry. Thank you. How is that?
It's good.
Thank you. So here's a breakdown of top 5 businesses, and you can see throughout the time is taverns, hotels, restaurant hotels, and in the beginning beauty shop and barber shops, which tells you the importance of the needs of time. And that continued. And then towards the end, you can see that nightclubs popped up and auto shop popped up towards 61 and 67. Here's, of course, we need to look at top 5 neighborhoods. In the earlier stages, you can see it's really all Manhattan and some Brooklyn, and continued throughout until 60s. But in the last decade, you can see Midtown South and Central Harlem. That's not surprising, right? But Turtle Bay and Hamilton Heights appeared as one of the top 5 neighborhoods with the most number of businesses advertising in the books. So we now want to see, of course, number of businesses in the red line by grade, right? So the A is green all the way to the D, the red line area, and also outside zones, which is basically the business areas. And over time, you can see prior to until 1960s, the number were always the advertisers are always in the red lined area. This is in percentage. And then we now appear more than 5 times over the year. Oops, sorry. So we have the by neighborhoods, and these are the top businesses that advertised. Look at how many years they advertised, and here's the top 20, I think. And I just wanted to really highlight the YMCA and how many years they have advertised and provided a place for the community to feel safe and stay, and just not 1, but 2. And also, while you can see mostly the hotels and restaurants, you can see the beauty shop also made an appearance, beauty parlor all appeared as well. So this was in the first edition. This was in the introduction in the first edition in 1937. And it was only 16 pages long. And this is what Mr. Green wrote. And this is the time when there will be a day sometime in the near future when this guide will not have to be published. That is when we, as a race, will have equal opportunities and privileges in the United States. It will be a great day for us to suspend this publication. Mrs. Alma Duke Green did indeed live long enough to suspend this publication, but the question is now, do we still need a green book today, and what might that look like? And not surprisingly, it's an app. I am not making any advertisement. I just happened to come across, inspired by the original guidebook. This is an RV search app that helps minority and LGBT plus travelers research and find safe spaces for overnight parking. So the modernized version, not surprisingly, is an app with a GPS technology. So that is my take for now. This is at the very beginning. We're looking for inspirations and idea, putting it out there for all of you locational intelligence folks, enthusiasts. And I will really appreciate if you can share the 3 C's of comments, complaints, and do we dare compliments in the chat. But before that, the next section, I'm turning this over to Adeola and look at the hood, under the hood, the technical hood. Adeola, are you ready? I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. bye.
Okay.
Wait, are you sharing? Yes. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. In this portion of the presentation, what I'll be doing is looking at the data, how it was prepared, and basically giving you like the assurance that we use the right and the correct data. We'll be talking, that we use the precise and accurate data to do this presentation. We're going to be looking at how it was prepared, the cleaning, how it was also geocoded. We'll also be looking at the visualization products that we made. Jiin just showed you one of the maps. We'll be talking about the GIFs and also a dashboard. So like I said, the first thing we're going to talk about is the cleaning. Now, in the cleaning of the data, like Jiin said, it was manually entered and it was gotten from like different sources. So most of the issues we encountered were like missing data, too many fields, unnecessary data, and then typos. So for the missing data, that's where like we just have like large blocks of missing data for businesses. So what we did was to make a percentage list of the missing data for each of the attributes and each of the columns. And so using that, we were able to get rid of those attributes that had a lot of missing data. That also helped us to get rid of so many of the fields too that we thought we wouldn't need for this analysis or for this project. And then the unnecessary data are basically like duplicates of businesses and duplicates of categories like restaurants. You can have restaurants, you can have restaurants, you can have food/restaurant, and of course like typos. Typos also make it difficult to be able to process data because like restaurant could be misspelled in like 5 different ways, and when you're trying to do an analysis, it comes up as like 5 different categories. So we're able to like clean that up before we started any data analysis. And then for the geocoding, we use GeoSupport, the GeoSupport desktop edition from DCP. So the thing about GeoSupport is it's an improvement on DoIT's Geo clients, in my personal opinion. It gives you like the ability to input like addresses or intersections, and then you could call up about 200 different attributes. You could call up the center line attributes. You could call up the pumas, the zips. You could call up building and property specific attributes also. And during this project, one of the things that I discovered is there's also a Python library called GeoSupport Suggest that really helped us a lot because some of the addresses, like we said, it was manual and these things were done like very long time ago. We just had basically addresses and no boroughs, no neighborhoods, just addresses. So what the GeoSupport Suggest does is it suggests different boroughs or different locations that this address might belong to, but it also gives you like a description of that particular address. So that makes you to make an educated assumption of where it will be. And if you can't make an assumption, you altogether just have to drop the record. And like Jane said, we were able to get about 1,000 businesses, and we successfully did about 90% of those addresses we were able to geocode. So I think that's a very good success rate. And so when we were able to geocode it, we started thinking about visualization. Of course, being GIS professionals, the first thing we did was a map. We used and for this project, we tried to use everything open source or free. So we used the free version of AGOL, and we're able to make this web app with the web app builder. And also we looked at GIFs, we looked at dashboards, we looked at charts. We explored like Dash and Plotly and using different visualization and color palettes. We also used the Jupyter dashboard to make a dashboard, which I'm going to show you. And then we also used the IPy widgets to make different widgets for the dashboard. And I will show you the dashboard right now. Stop share. Okay. So this dashboard is it's not a web dashboard. It's a local dashboard. It's just available locally on the system that has the files, that holds the files, but the data is held publicly in a repository on GitHub. So what we did was we were trying to look at different categories in different neighborhoods and to see the breakdown all through the years, or see the breakdown by the whole grade. So what we could do is, let's take a look at one of the categories that was very prominent. That's the hotels. And so for this, it gives us a list of all the hotels we were able to track for that time period from 1937 to 1967. It gives us a list of the hotels, gives us a Hulk breakdown of the number of businesses, 147 businesses, and gives us each of the grades. Again, we're not surprised that most of them are in the D grade, and then it gives us a number for each of the years. And let's say we wanted to look at these businesses in Harlem. It gives us a breakdown again. And of course, in Harlem, the whole of Harlem was the whole grade D, so everything was in D. And let's say we want to look at restaurants. As we can see, most of the restaurants that were gotten were in whole grade D, and a bit of them were in the commercial zones. And again, we can look at it over the years, and we see that it decreases over the years. And then we can look at the list of the businesses. And basically, we just use this to try and like figure out and like filter in to see like, okay, let's look at different neighborhoods. We looked at Bed-Stuy, we looked at different Crown Heights, and looked at Harlem, and to see the businesses that were thriving in those areas. So that is what we have for visualizations for now. I'm going to turn it over again to Jen to continue with the presentation.
I think that's really, am I on mute? No. I think that's really the beginning. And just to say, we're all talking about equity and social justice piece these days. And so this is our way of looking over time and to really prove that, hey, it was always there, folks. And again, this is just the beginning. I would love to hear from everyone. So maybe we can go to some questions right now.